Hey boys and girls, it's Miss Lisa, the art teacher. Welcome back to my table of art. How is everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. I was out the other night, believe it or not, I was actually out, but it was in an outside cafe, so I wasn't inside, so I was a little safe. But inside there was musicians playing, and one of them was playing the drums, or should I say the conga drums. Pop, 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 pop. It sounded so nice, and I kept thinking about it all week long, and I came across a really cute project where we can make one of those conga drums. They're from Cuba, this particular drum that I'm speaking of. It looks a little like this, a conga drum. So we're going to make one of those, but before we do, I have a little video, cute little video about a story about a little girl who always dreamed about playing the drum. So watch the video, enjoy that, or you can watch it while we're working, okay? So first thing I want to tell you is everyone is going to get a big piece of white paper, and I've already drawn a conga drum on the paper. So what we need to do first is we need to color it in. So you have your choice. You can paint it with tempera paint, you could color it with watercolor, you could color it with crayons, you could use markers, whatever it is that you want to color it with. I prefer that we use watercolor to start for the base of the conga drum, because once the conga drum is painted, we're going to add lines and shapes to create patterns going across our conga drum to decorate it, sort of like this one here. So I'm going to use watercolor for the demonstration, okay? So I'd like for you to come on down and I can get started. Come on down. Okay, so I don't have full space here, so I'm going to actually put my drum sideways because it's such a long piece of paper that you don't see it in this section here. So here's the whole length of the drum. So in order for us to paint the conga drums, we're going to need a little water. So I brought my bottle of water and I'm going to pour it into my cup because I'm using watercolors. And what does watercolor need to wake up? Watercolors need water. So let me open up my palette of paint, put it on the side here, and I'm going to start waking up my paints. Now, I don't want you to be overly concerned about being neat or going over the lines because we're going to be cutting this out. So you don't have to worry about that at all. So what I like to do is I like to start at one end of my color palette and work my way over. So I'm starting with this beautiful purple at the top of my drum, and I'm just going to paint it very nicely. And this is a Sharpie marker, so it's not going to smear, so you don't have to worry. So I'm just going to paint all the way down to the bottom. But I'm going to change my colors as I go. I'm going to wake up the blue now and just start painting with the blue. Because the more colors I add, the more interesting and beautiful my drum's going to be. So let's just keep working with the paint. Let me get a layer of this beautiful, beautiful blue down. And you can paint along with me, or you can wait till the video's over and begin painting after I'm done. Great color, isn't it? We move on to the green now. I am particularly fond of watercolors. I think they work very well. They go on as you want them, light or dark. The colors are vibrant and beautiful. They make any project look beautiful. So it's kind of my favorite. And remember, we did a lot of techniques with the watercolors. We could even add salt to this to give it some texture. That's another idea. Remember, we did wet on wet, dry on wet. We did all different techniques, but right now I'm just doing a straight watercolor painting where I wet the watercolor, wake it up, and then just paint my paper. Just look how beautiful these colors are. This watercolor is just amazing. Reminds me of Easter eggs. Oh yeah, it's getting close to that time of dyeing our Easter eggs. That's a fun thing to do, right? Decorating Easter eggs. There's all different types of Easter eggs throughout the world. Everybody does their own style and technique. I'm going to be decorating Easter eggs with one of the classes in a week or two. Maybe you can join us. So I'm almost down to the end of my color palette. It's almost like a rainbow that I've created, starting with the purple, going right down to the blue. And of course, the next would be green. And after the green, we've added our yellow. And now I'm working on my orange. Now, this is not how you have to paint your drum. You may paint your drum any way you want. And then we're going to come back when it dries, and we're going to add our lines and shapes to create our patterns. Okay? And what is the last color on my color wheel? Did you say red? You're right. The last color on my palette here, or my color wheel, is red. And that's going to go right on the bottom of my drum. That's a good ending color. Strong color. Bold color. Like the bold sounds of the Cuban conga drum. Anybody know where Cuba is? Cuba is, if you walked right off the tip of Florida and you kept walking through the ocean, you'd come right to Cuba. Cuba is right by Miami, Florida. Well, not by Miami, Florida. Right below Miami, Florida. Actually, I think it's below Miami, Florida. Before I tell you that as fact, I'm going to check. Hey, where's my... Hang on 1 second. Okie doke. I found it. Here's the tip of Florida, Miami, and you just walk right over the ocean, and here's Cuba. And that's where those Cuban drums come from. The Cuban conga. I had to make sure. I didn't want to give you bad information when I said it was right below Miami. Okay, so my drum is painted. So I'm going to put that aside to dry. And while that's drying, let's talk about what goes on top of the drum. When the drummers beat their drums, they're hitting a heavy leather, like a hide of some kind. So we're going to create the illusion of leather by using this piece of wax paper. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to crinkle it up. We want to get lots of creases in here, lots of lines and creases, because we're going to use those lines and creases to create the texture of leather. And we're going to use our watercolors again, but this time we're only going to use maybe black, brown, and orange. And we're going to paint the wax paper. Now you're going to say, but water resists wax. Yes, it does. But by crinkling it up and making all these lines, we kind of broke away some of that wax that this watercolor would resist. So we need just enough to get into those crevices to create that illusion of texture. So once I have all my paint down on my wax, I'm going to rub it in with my finger just to make sure it gets into all those crevices. Because we want to make it look like leather when it's dry. I'm even going to mix in some orange to this, because sometimes hides have a little orangey effect to them, and we want to make it as realistic looking as we can. So I'm painting my wax paper here. Now I want to like smear it in with my fingers, smudge it in as much as I can, because there's so much excess rolling around, because again, it's wax and the water resists the wax. just like when we do crayon rubs, the water resists the crayon. So this is one side. We're going to do this to both sides to make sure we get as much of the effect that we want. So let me get a little piece of paper towel, and I'm just going to blot away the excess, and I'm going to turn it over and do it again on the other side. So I've already started getting a little bit of that leathery look. I don't know if you could see it, but we're going to do it again on the opposite side to get the full effect possible. We want it to look like what leather as much as we can without actually having leather. So let's get some of that orange. I like that orange mixed in. That was beautiful. More paint than water. Let's try to work with more paint than water. And again, I'm just going to use my finger to rub some of this paint into the crevices and the cracks that we created in the wax paper. Okay? And then I'm going to blot with all the extra paint. We're going to set this aside to dry as well. So when this is dry, I'm going to come back. Okay? So I'm going to put this on pause. Okay, our wax is dry, but I went ahead and I cut it in the shape of a football. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do, how you're going to do that. I'm sorry I went ahead and cut it without you. What you need to do is fold the wax lengthwise, so it's a long folded sheet of paper. And you're just going to draw from corner to the top center an arch on one side, and the same thing, an arch on the other side, so it resembles a hill. And then you're going to cut it with a scissor and open it up till you have a football shape. So this is going to be the leather on the top of your drum. Okay, now my drum is still drying, but I've already gone ahead and made another one which is already dry. What we're going to need to do next is we need to use a hole puncher to punch holes along the top of our drum. So I'm going to start right in the corner here and do my first hole punch. And I'm going to punch a few more as I move in. I don't want to get too close to the edge, and I'm going to try to space these evenly, not too far away from each other. If you don't have a hole puncher at home, this is actually a step that you could skip. It just adds a little bit more decorative details to your drum. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to sew. We're going to sew a piece of yarn through these holes to give more of a realistic look of a Cuban conga drum, because they're like the leather is like sewn on to the top of the drum. So we're going to use this beautiful brown wool I have. Give it like a rope look. Measure it, maybe about 2. And we're going to put a little piece of tape at the end of the yarn to make it easier to thread through the holes. Sort of like a shoelace has a little eye on it. So I'm going to put my tape over the yarn, close it up, twist it, make it like the same thing that you have on your shoelace. Okay, I'm going to cut it down smaller. Whoops. So you see how I have that little piece of tape at the end? It's going to make it a lot easier for me to thread through my drum. So I'm going through the first hole. I'm going to pull gently all the way up. Oh, don't do what I just did. I just went through all the way. We don't want to go all the way. We're going to thread through and turn it upside down. Here's a piece of yarn that's left here. We're going to take some tape and we're going to tape that in place. If you have masking tape, if you have Scotch tape, tape that to the back of your drum so it doesn't go further than that. And then we're going to start going in and out with our yarn. So this one came in through the back, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in through the back. So it kind of loops over the top, and then we go to the back and thread it through the back hole. So this yarn in the front loops over, and we go to the back of the drum and thread it through the hole. Always through the back of the drum. It's starting to look real already, isn't it? Let's go through the back of the drum, through the back of the drum, and just be gentle as you pull, because this is only paper, so we don't want to rip it, okay? You want to be very careful. As we go through the back of the drum. This is looking really cute. I'm loving this drum. And we've got one more hole. And what we're going to do is we'll just go through the back. We'll bring it to, we'll go up. Maybe we could put it through the back somehow. And there we go. I'm going to lay it on its back. I'm going to cut about the same amount that I did on the other side. That's left. This piece, this loose piece. And I'm going to tape that down also with the tape. Okay, masking tape is best. I don't have any. Don't know what I did with all my masking tape. All right, so here's the front of your drum, and here's the back of your drum. Now, we're going to take our football wax paper shape, and we're going to line it up on the top of our drum. The 2 points of the wax paper are going to line up with the 2 points of the drum. Now, you could do one of two things. You can glue this in place, or you can tape it in place. For time measurements, I'm going to tape it in place, because if I glued it, it's going to take a while for it to dry, and I want to move on to the next step so we can complete our conga drums. I'm excited to get started making my patterns. How about you? These look really nice. Okay, so let's push up this camera so you can see how it looks, like the whole length of it. Ready? So this is how, look at that, it looks so cool. That really looks like a conga drum, right? All right, so now we're going to use our lines and we're going to use our shapes to create decorations on our conga drum. I have a picture. You could copy the picture, or you could create your own designs. Either one I'm happy with. So I use the watercolor paint for my background, because now if I use a crayon, if I use a marker, if you want to use some of the rollers that I have up on my cart, you can use paint and just roll your pattern right across your conga drums. You could do anything because we have such a soft background. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of everything. So let's come on down and watch me make my designs, okay? We're going to create our patterns, and I'm going to start with an oil pastel, so you could see the effect of an oil pastel. So how about I start with, I have red here. I like red and pink. I'm going to make little X's down at the bottom of my conga drum. Look at that. Easy peasy, something very simple, but look how beautiful it stands out. That's a pattern. I used my lines to create my X's, and I created a pattern with an oil pastel. Now I'm going to use a crayon so we can see how all the effects are of all the different materials. So maybe I'll use a green crayon. Look at the crayons I have to work with. You would think I'd have beautiful crayons, right? But you know what? This is the way I like them to be, so I can work with them any way I want. Alright, so next I think I'll make a curvy line going up and down. Now look how bold the crayon is. Almost as bold as the oil pastel. So crayons are going to work great. And let's see, what do I use next? Maybe I'll use a blue crayon. Yeah, maybe I'll use a blue crayon, and I'll make straight lines going right across my conga drum. Now notice that my line has a little bit of a curve of it, because I'm going like in the curve of the drum. Okay, so I got one line, and then I think I might use a different blue, a darker blue maybe. I think this might be a darker blue. Hope it is. Yep, it's a darker blue, and I'm going to make a darker blue line, and I'm going to go back to the lighter blue to make a nice light blue line. Oh my goodness, this is just too beautiful. Look at this, how beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my oil pastels because they're really pretty. I'm going to make a nice loopy loop line. Loop de loop de loop de loop de loop de loop de loop. This is so much fun. What else? Markers. Let's see how markers look on our conga drum. Let's see, where's my markers? Here we go. All right, so I've got my big fat markers. We're going to see how they're going to work. What color do I want to pull out? I love the blues and greens. Okay, let's see. How about red? I haven't used red yet. What kind of a line will I make now? How about I make a nice up and down curve. Oh, look how great the marker goes on here. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So I've got the red, and I think I might even use a yellow. Will the yellow show up? Yeah, it shows up beautifully, right along with the red. This is so much fun, guys. I'm so excited with this project. I really think it's beautiful. And I'm going to put circles inside, just like the sample I sent you. And then maybe I'll put yellow circles in the center of that. I like that. What about you? You like that? Okay. And let's go back to a thick line, or a thin line, then a thick line. So we got a thick, thin line, and then I'm going to make a thick one, another thin line. Hold on, another thin line going across my conga drum, and I'll use orange. Oh no, I used orange. I'll use blue and green. I'll make a thick line. Look at that one. Guys, this is coming out beautiful. So now we've got the oil pastels are working great. The crayons working great. The markers are working great. So this is a win-win project. You can use anything you have at home. Here, I've got some highlighters. Let's see if highlighters will work. Which one should I use? I'll try the purple highlighter. Let's see, a purple highlighter. Let's see if that works. Yep, that works just as well. So far, every material that I have works with this project. This is fabulous, guys. This is so good because you guys will be able to decorate your drums. Oh, look at that. Look at the highlighted color inside the purple. That looks really very vivid and bright. Okay, what else could we try? How about colored pencils? Do we dare? Let's see if we could do the colored pencils. Let me get my pencils out. Wow, I'm so excited with this. Are you guys as excited as I am? All right, let's pull out the colored pencils and see how they work. This is so great. No matter what you have, you're going to be able to decorate your drums. Let's see what color we got here. Let's try this orange. Oh wait, I'm going up towards the blue. Maybe I'll look for a purpley blue. Okay, so we got all curvy lines. Let's go for the zigzag. Ready? Colored pencils, just as wonderful. Look at that. Everything works. Every single thing works. Just like the sample I sent you. Some geometric shapes. Nice, very nice, very, very nice. Loving this project very much. Loving the results. Hoping that you're going to be loving it as much as I am. Very nice. Lots of fun. Add all the colors you want. Be as creative as you want. Color things in. Add all shapes. Geometric shapes. Triangles, squares, rectangles, moons, stars, all geometric. Use organic shapes. Those are the ones that are usually found out in nature. Not something you could really measure with math. Kind of not swirly, like curvy lines. Okay, getting to the top of our drum, getting excited. I think I'm going to go back to my highlighters, because look at this great pink. I'm going to put this great pink up here, right at the top of my drum. Loving that. Little scoopty scoops. And then I'll make the next one the purple. Love it, love it. Scoopy, 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 scoopy. And we'll fill it up with a circle. Color our circle in. You can even use your fingers to paint designs. They don't even have to be perfect like this. You could do an abstract kind of a drum. That would be super cool. This is your opportunity to really go crazy decorating this drum. I hope you enjoyed the little story. Oh my God, is this fabulous or what? I'm bringing this camera up. I'm about ready to play the conga. How about you? Look at this thing. How beautiful is that? Can't go wrong. Well, guys, listen, I had a great time. I don't know about you, but I had a great time doing this project. And I really hope that you enjoy it. The whole process is fun. The painting of the drum, the sewing part was fun. Creating the illusion of texture was fun. All our lines and shapes, creating beautiful patterns. Remember, I'm going to send you a sample, not to worry. You don't have to think of anything if you can't. You could copy, you could create, you can make it abstract. Go crazy. Have fun. And then later, we're all going to bang on our congas.